Friday, September 22nd, 2010. Blog entry number 4. Have you ever felt like nothing matters? Like everything you do is pointless? Do you ever feel like no one cares? Like no one is listening? Do you ever feel like you aren't worth it? Like no matter what you do, you'll never live up to life's expectations? Do you ever feel like maybe, just maybe, if I went away, it would all get better? Like maybe, if you didn't exist anymore, everyone would be way better off. I know how you feel. I was there once, that place where you're sitting now. I was there, with those thoughts sifting through my head. I know your pain. I know what you feel. I'm gonna tell you something secret. This was my story of what happened, what I did about it, and how it ended up. So, without further ado, I call my story, The Tale of the Unlovable. Robin, wait up! Joni ran up behind me as I gloomily walked along the sidewalk. Her cheery voice always annoyed me. Why did she always have to be so happy? Doesn't she know the suffering I'm in? She always annoyed me, but I was always too depressed to tell her to bugger off. I stood there in the rain. My black backpack had a garbage bag on it so that my homework wouldn't get wrecked. Joni ran up so that she was beside me, the hood of her bright pink rain jacket keeping her long blonde hair dry. "Hi, Joni," I said with my head down. I really didn't want to look at her. I not only found her voice to be annoying, but her face too. I dragged my feet as I walked toward my house. We walked alongside each other, Joni chirping away about boys or something. She was always talking about boys. Couldn't she see I had no interest? Hadn't she noticed that none of the guys at school liked me? Ever? We were 10 steps away from my house. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I could now make my escape. Bye, Joni. It was great walking with you, but here's my house. I waved to her and then quickly ran inside. I peeked through the window by the door. Joni stood there for a few seconds and then left. I let out a small sigh of relief. I stood just inside the front door, my midnight black raincoat dripping rainwater into little puddles on the carpet. I slid my backpack off and took off my raincoat. I hung up my coat in the closet next to the door. Then I did the same with the garbage bag I had put over my backpack. I picked up my backpack and went into the kitchen. I got some ice cream and chocolate milk and then went up to my bedroom. I went into my room and set the milk and the ice cream on my desk. I slid my backpack off and it hit the ground with a loud thud. The only thing I could think to do was to flop onto my bed, and as I did so, my light body bounced into the air and then back onto the bed. I laid there for maybe 2, maybe 3 minutes. Then I remembered my ice cream. I jumped up and grabbed the bowl off my desk. As I ate, I froze my mouth. All the events of the week rushed into my head. All the teasing and all the bullying. All the stress and torture from the other kids. Oh, they made me sick. I didn't even know why it was always me they picked on. I mean, I studied death, I studied the causes of death, but it's not that bad, is it? I mean, neither is being a loner and being by myself on Worsley Hill. They don't really know anything about me, do they? I stabbed at my ice cream with my spoon. They don't know me. They never did. I finished my ice cream and went to my desk, grabbing and dragging my backpack along with me. I sat down in my red chair and turned on my desk light. The light reflected off my black walls and off my window, making it so I could see my reflection in the window. I took out my homework. There was a lot. My teachers enjoyed making me slave away. I just knew that they did. I started with math. That was what's always come easiest to me. And I worked my way through my homework, taking only a few breaks. When I had finished, I looked at the clock. 6 o'clock. I had 2 hours before my mom and dad came home. They both worked nights. Sometimes I had to work even later shifts. If I was lucky, I'd have till 9. It's not like they were bad parents. They were always good to me. I needed some alone time sometimes. But as I sat there, I thought about what had been happening for the past few weeks. I thought about back to the first beating I took. Some kids pushed me into the mud. When I tried to get up, they pushed me down again. This wasn't really a beating, more like just getting pushed around. It made me cry though. I didn't want to be the new girl in town anymore. It hurt way too much. The feelings that were flooding back were overwhelming. I remember the first time they made me bleed. It was just my nose, but it hurt a lot. One kid held me back while the other one took a swing at my face. My nose wasn't broken, just bleeding. Those bullies were the worst thing that ever happened to me. And when I got home, my parents weren't there, so I washed my face and I never told them. I was too ashamed. I didn't want to appear weak. And what could my parents do anyways? Say, hey, stop, that's my kid. No, that wouldn't stop them. That would never stop the bullies. They would just do what they want anyways. I looked at the clock. 6:30. A half an hour before I made my dinner. Let's see. Today was Wednesday. My supper sandwich night. I always liked sandwiches on Wednesdays. This was the day I had my comfort foods as I braced myself for the rest of the horrid week. A Cheese Whiz and maraschino cherry sandwich always hit the spot. And while some think it's gross, for me, it always does the trick. As I sat there, I decided to turn on my CD player. A good Tchaikovsky song is just what I needed right now. As I sat and listened to the Waltz of the Flowers, another memory popped into my head. It was the day I would have seen as 100% perfect. The sun was shining, the flowers were blooming. The butterflies were fluttering, and best of all, I hadn't been hurt that day. No bullies, nothing. This was a miracle day. Well, there was some teasing and mockery, but that happened every day. I was used to that. But no one had physically hurt me that day. It was a good day. And as I walked home, I closed my eyes and basked in the sun. My dark, dyed black hair getting warm in the heat. Then all of a sudden, BAM! I had been pushed into a puddle of mud from the rainfall the night before. My clothes were ruined, my face was all wet, and my backpack had been open so some of my homework got muddy. When I looked up, the kids who did it were gone, but I knew who it was. It was Gina Hansen and Morgana Wingard. They are 2 evil girls who go to my school. I hated them, and they hated me. It was a mutual agreement. I glanced at the clock. 7 p.m. Supper time. I skipped down the stairs, my long black hair bouncing on my back with each step I landed on. As I reached the kitchen, I thought of all the verbal torture I got. Like that time Gina called me a you-know-what. It was an awful moment, and she said it in front of everyone. I was devastated. I couldn't believe someone could be so cruel as to say that. I went into the kitchen and picked my ingredients. Cheese Whiz? Check. White bread? Check. Maraschino cherries? Check. Butter knife for spreading? Check. I had it all there, my own little heaven. As I spread the cheese, more thoughts rushed into my head. All the unkind words and names that were spoken to me. Words like stupid, you aren't good enough, you'll never be able to do anything. No one likes you, you're worthless. And the one that hurt the most, no one will ever love you. No one will ever love you. Those words swam through my mind as I spread the cheese whiz. I won't ever be loved. Who could love someone like me? I started thinking about what they said. What if they're right? What if I am stupid and worthless? I started to cry. I had become so numb from the pain lately, I had forgotten what it was like to cry. Worthless, stupid, loser. These words grew louder and louder in my head until one word grew louder than them all. Unlovable. The word unlovable became an overwhelming chant inside my head. I looked at the steak knife Mom and Dad had washed but left out from the night before. What if they're right? Would anyone notice? I peered at the knife. It looked inviting, friendly. With its silver blade and dark brown wooden handle, I wondered, would anyone really notice? Would anyone really care? I took a bite from my sandwich. As I chewed, I debated what to do. Everyone will be better off without me. But if I do it, I won't be able to finish any research. On the other hand, my death research, the research I study about death and its causes, and I've always wondered what it would be like to die. It'll expand and I'll know more. Then again, what is knowledge when you can't use it or share it? If I don't kill myself, I'll get made fun of, and I'll have to go through more pain. And if I don't, I'll always go through the pain of being unlovable. And again, the pain will all be gone. Yeah, that's right. The pain, it will all be over. And all it takes is a couple quick movements and I won't feel a thing. Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it because no matter how tough I am, I can't bear the thought of being unlovable. Here I go. I reached for the knife, but just when my hand was 2 inches away from it, the phone rang. Oh my goodness! Didn't they know I was about to go through the most crucial moment of my life? I took my hand away from the blade and used it to pick up the phone. Hello? Robin, honey, it's your mom. My mother's voice was light and cheerful. I'm coming home a little early. Do you want me to get you anything? No, Mom, I'm good. My voice was a little shaky. Oh, okay, Robin. I'll see you soon. Yeah, see you soon, Mom. Oh, and Robin. Yeah, Mom? I love you, honey. And she hung up the phone. I was loved. The one thing I had always wanted to hear, but was too busy to hear. My parents love me. I'm not unlovable. If the kids at school were wrong about me being unlovable, maybe they were wrong about the other stuff too. Maybe I'm not a freak. Maybe I'm not stupid. I backed up against the counter and started to cry. I cried and cried until my mom came home. I told her about what had happened. I told her about the bullying, the thoughts running through my head, and what I was about to do before she called. She hugged me tightly and told me not to even think about it again. She loves me, and I'm special. She told me that my dad loves me too, and when Dad got home, we told him everything that had happened, and the three of us sat on the kitchen floor hugging each other. And even though the bullying didn't stop right away, it did over time. I had gained courage, and I had learned to stand up for myself. I had learned to be who I am and not let people get me down. I had learned to make friends and to be a good friend. I had learned how to be happy and ward off my depression. But the most important thing I learned is that I am loved, and my parents will never, ever stop loving me.